Welcome back. Now, overnight, the government has faced fresh allegations of withholding information about the coronavirus after it was revealed that health officials will stop providing daily updates on the location of any new infections.
But with the known number of UK cases now standing at 90, should we be doing more? And surely we have a right to know if there's an outbreak in our area.
Well, joining us now to answer those questions is the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Good morning, Prime Minister. Thank you for coming in today. You must be a very busy man at the moment. Are you withholding information?
No, not at all. Let me clear that up immediately, because it's very important that we are transparent. People understand that we're transparent. Public Health England needs to be absolutely sure about the diagnoses of these cases. So what they're doing is they're immediately identifying the region where they think there's an incidence, and then within 24 hours confirming the exact location to be sure that we've got the right thing.
So why will it be the end of the week when we find out?
Because we're building up a map, a proper database that the public can access, showing the whole thing in real time.
Isn't it better if we all have all the information straight away? I mean, we're not stupid, you know. We can handle the truth. So
Absolutely.
Tell us the truth. Tell us straight away.
Exactly. And I think one of the great things about the British public is we can all see very clearly what the balance of risk is. We can see where this is happening and the rate at which it's spreading. So I'm with you, and we're putting it all out there, and that's.
I just worry because we know who the vulnerable are, whether it's elderly or those with underlying other respiratory conditions and things like that. If you have the information, then you might not decide to go shopping in that area because you know the risk. But if you don't know for a week, you might be making unnecessary decisions.
I need to know at what point do I tell my mum, actually, it might be a good idea to stay in now?
Yes, we're on the specific incidents, so where individuals get it, and as you know, the confirmed cases at the moment are standing at 85. We're putting it out as fast as we can, and that's what we want to do. We want to communicate, over-communicate with the public about what is happening.
Yeah.
It's always worth stressing with this that for the overwhelming majority of people, this is going to be who get it. This is going to be a mild to moderate.
Your hands feel very mild.
Do they?
We're still at the stage where the single best thing we can do, and we'll be like that for a long time, is just wash our hands.
Your hands feel very mild.
Do they?
Putting out at the moment.
Video.
It's very simple. You know, it couldn't really be more simple than wash your hands.
Your hands feel very mild.
Yeah.
Do they? 20 seconds, which, as you said, happy birthday
water,
twice, hot water.
Hot water and
so this is the video running through now that we're watching.
And what you don't want is for people to sort of do this for a couple of days and then get bored and kind of forget and go back to normal life, because we've all sort of done it. We've all got red raw hands and sore hands.
Yeah, I just washed mine just now.
Exactly. Well, I hope you did.
I'm glad, because
I did.
You did come straight in here, and I kept my hands by my side just to see what happened, and you walked in and you shook my hand very boldly.
I did. That's right. And I've been going around hospitals, as you can imagine, and I think you always shake hands. And people make their own decisions, but washing them is the single most effective thing, rather than
Your hands feel very mild.
Do they?
I washed my hands.
Definitely.
My advice to everybody: wash your hands at all times.
So when now you launched your
mild.
backup plan, we crossed live to you at Downing Street and on Tuesday to listen, contain, delay, research and mitigate. And Professor Chris Whitty, who is England's Chief Medical Officer, has said now that we are mainly in the delay phase. So we've moved from contain into delay.
Let me explain exactly. Let me explain what's happening today. So as people know, the numbers continue to grow. I mean, not exponentially, but they're continuing to grow. So the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, or SAGE, is meeting, and they will consider a range of options that we have to try to delay the spread. And they range from things like stopping big public gatherings, sporting gatherings and so on, closing schools, that sort of thing, quite draconian stuff, to more targeted interventions, which would be really helping the elderly.
Italy's done that. So how close are we to doing that?
So, well, we'll see what the scientists advise. That's the best thing I find. That, you know, these guys are brilliant. And they're epidemiologists who understand behavioural psychology of the population. They understand how these things spread. So we're going to see what they.
You've got me
say.
red-handed, officer.
But just for your guidance and for
Me,
everyone
you
to
haven't
think
got
about.
with hands,
At
Mummy.
the moment, what they're telling me
dishes can feel
is
soft
that
as your face.
slightly counterintuitive. Things like closing schools and stopping big gatherings don't work as well, perhaps, as people think in stopping the spread. That's what they're saying to me at the moment. So our advice on school closures remains pretty much where it was. I mean, exactly where it was, which is that we don't think at the moment that schools should be closing, but unless, of course, there is an incidence unless there are cases in the school, in which case they should obviously talk to Public Health England.
Is the delay essentially trying to spread this out so that it doesn't all happen at once and overwhelm the NHS, and that you can actually delay it into perhaps the summer when it's a little quieter and the ordinary flu might have died down a wee bit? Is that what you're doing?
It's a very, very important question, and that's where a lot of the debate has been. And one of the theories is that, you know, perhaps you could sort of take it on the chin, take it all in one go, and allow the disease, as it were, to move through the population. Without really taking as many draconian measures, I think we need to strike a balance. I think it's very important. We've got a fantastic NHS. We'll give them all the support that they need. We'll make sure that they have all the preparations, all the kit that they need for us to get through it. But I think it would be better if we take all the measures that we can now, just to, you know, to stop the peak of the disease being as difficult for the NHS as it might be. I think there are things that we may be able to do.
You say that the NHS is, has your full support, but according to a report from the National Audit Office, the NHS currently does not have the nursing staff it needs, despite efforts to boost the workforce. There are still 43,000 vacancies. How are they going to find beds and staff to cope with what we potentially could see an increase of patients?
Well, I mean, you know, I don't want to get into it. We, of course, have greatly increased the number of nurses in the NHS, and many more than there were in 2010, for instance. But you're right, and that's why we're recruiting 50,000 more.
That's still not fast enough.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, you're right, and but we're going as fast as we possibly can. Remember, we shortened the visa application process. We've restored the bursary for nurses, so that, you know, the real incentives now to get into nursing. And in the course of the next few weeks, we will really do everything to make sure that the NHS is able to cope.
Bringing back, and because there was talk of people who were in retirement, to bring them back, and we looked at that and thought, hold on a second, if you start bringing back people into the front line of medical health, they're actually the most vulnerable. They're the older people because they're retired. Well,
I mean, that's obviously something we'd have to consider, and you're absolutely right that in principle over 65s are more vulnerable to.
So how was that ever going to work?
Well, I mean, couple of points. I'm not sure how many over 65s we're actually going to be recruiting. But secondly, don't forget that even if you get this illness, for the overwhelming majority of people, even in the elderly groups, it will be mild to moderate.
Your hands feel very mild.
Do they?
We'll be getting the NHS ready, but also, really just trying to help people to prepare themselves, prepare their family. What the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies will be thinking about today is particularly about what we can do to help those elderly and vulnerable groups. It's not just the elderly, there are also people with pre-existing conditions or other vulnerabilities. And I'm sure, I mean, I've just been talking to the Chancellor and the Governor of the bank. I mean, there's no doubt that the UK economy is very robust. We will make sure that we give
Hello, officer.
businesses and the
Can I
economy
help?
the
I'm
support
looking for the
that it
missing
needs.
treasure.
And,
What's this?
if businesses run into
You call me
run into
red-handed,
trouble
officer.
because,
But you haven't got with hands,
suppliers-
Mummy.
Now hands that do dishes can feel soft as your face.
of any kind,
My
cash, whatever. Then we have a system called Time to Pay that will help businesses get through this. And watch out for the budget next week. We'll be doing some things to help.
Your hands feel very mild.